think Jaylen Brown still is MVP.
Do you?
You know, yeah, I do. Nobody really impressed, even in the loss last game. You know, I think it's his to lose. I think if he comes out and have a great game, I mean, barring anything that's historic by either Jaylen or Drew Holiday, Jayson Tatum or Drew Holiday, I think it's Jaylen's to lose because I think the way he plays on both ends of the court, I mean, he's still shooting pretty good from the field. Points per game are still up there, 24 points a game. I really do think it's his to lose. I expect a big game from him. I think he has the toughest one to match up with as far as the Dallas Mavericks. And for the simple facts, he influences both sides of the ball more than anybody, I believe, on the Celtics because I think he's just a slight better defensive player than Jayson. And I just don't think Drew Holiday offensively is as gifted as Brown. So when we talk about a balance on both sides of the ball, he's probably the most gifted in that aspect. So I expect him to come out with a huge game, take it personal, set the tone for them, and know that he didn't come out with his best game. I expect him to be aggressive. And he's still my favorite right now to win Finals MVP.
Yeah, Jaylen is the favorite to win it, no question about it. I think when you look at just the playoffs in general, he's been solid across the board. Last game, none of them played well. They were down 34-21 at the end of one. They basically cashed it in and said, let's get ready to go back to Boston in the first quarter because they already kind of knew it was over and done with. So you wasn't going to get much production out of anybody on the Celtics team that was in the starting lineup at that point in time. Now when you start talking about who's catching, right? All he has to do is just do what he's doing. Just do his averages. Average that 20+, shoot that 50% from the floor, knock down those threes when they open, play defense on both ends of the floor. I'll move Tatum down and Luka up to 2. Because if the Celtics win, it's going to Jaylen Brown, right? If they win, it's going to Jaylen.
Well, unless he has a really...
He's got to, but he's not going to do that.
There has to be something.
There's got to be something crazy where he scores 20 and Tatum goes for 50 in the closeout game. And then, now all of a sudden his momentum goes to him. But I don't know that balance will be off like that. Luka goes to 2 because, as Paul seems to not think that they have a chance in Boston, well, I think they do. Even though I'm picking the Celtics to win, when it goes to 3-2, that's a whole nother conversation at that point in time.
It is.
So now, everybody's focus in America going to be on Dallas, smashing the Celtics at home, and then going back and closing it out in 7 because the Celtics will get spooked in Game 7 at home and mess around and do what they normally do, lose. So I got Brown at 1, and Luka at 2, and Tatum I'll put at 3, just based on that scenario. But I don't think Dallas is going to win.
All right. I do, which is why I believe MVP as we speak is up for grabs. I think it is to be determined, and it starts tonight. And even if, and I'm going to give you your positive if here, even if your Celtics do close them out tonight, I still think it's up for grabs because I know how these things are voted on, and nobody cares about defense. It's all about offense in the end. And when you look at Jaylen's Game 4, I mean, just when we thought it was over and done and wrapped up and hand him the trophy, he goes 3 of 12 in Game 4. 3 of 12 and scores 10 points. I know nobody played well, but Jayson was a little bit better. Drew was a little bit better. So I'm looking at the overall numbers through 4 games. And I got to tell you, if I had to do it just off offensive numbers right now, I would give it to Jayson Tatum because his numbers are slightly better to me than Jaylen's are. Because I'm looking at 28-6 versus 21-5-5.
Well, you got to factor in the shooting percentage.
Okay, all right. And Jaylen is much better right now, 49% from the floor and to 37 for Jayson. But when I look at free throws, Jayson Tatum's 90%, and Jaylen Brown has never been much of a free throw shooter. He's at 71, so I got to factor that part in. And the 8 and 6 are just better, the 8 rebounds and the 6 assists. So to me, That's kind of even Steven right now. Like, that's just a toss-up.
If you did offensive numbers, the problem, though, because we've been talking about his defense the whole entire time.
Yeah.
That's being registered by whoever the voters are. They're looking at that now because it's being talked about. It's being talked about so highly right now.
But if Jayson comes out tonight and gives you a 35 or a 40 and is clearly the best player tonight, he's going to win MVP.
See, Skip, he'll forget what the games do. He'll look at the numbers, and the numbers going to say one thing. But when you talk about just impact on the game in this series, Brown has had the bigger impact. You know what I'm saying? He's had the bigger impact. When you look at it, when you look and you say, all right, defense,
well, that's why Jayson Kidd said what he said a couple weeks ago.
Key defense, yeah. I mean, even Jayson Kidd said, I mean, Jaylen's been outstanding. He's the best player. You got to look at the eye test. You can't always look at the numbers because the numbers is going to be one thing, but you got to have the eye test. And the eye test tells me right now, Jaylen, his impact is just, you can't measure in his numbers.
Okay. So if I ask you right here, right now, hot seat question, who has been the best player through 4 games on the floor? Best player on the floor, who would you say?
It's Jaylen. He's been the best player on the floor, just period, out of both teams or something?
Yeah, both teams.
Well, the best player on the floor has probably been overall
Luka. It's just Luka.
Yeah, it's Luka.
It just is.
Yeah.
Okay? It's why I keep look at his overall numbers. He's 38-6. So if I compare him to Jaylen Brown right now, 21-5, and you start doing shooting percentage, they're pretty close. They're like dead even from the floor and from 3.
But one team has 3 wins,
no,
the other one has 1.
I can't say that, though. I'm sorry, man. I can't just... This is where y'all get me and y'all lose me. Now, all of a sudden, Luka's been the best player on the floor. We talking about players, or we talking about half of a player?
Well, we're talking
because the dude had, what he got, like 13 assists? 13 turnovers through 2 games?
Yep.
So how is that? I don't understand how we just jump right over the turnovers, bad turnovers at that. Not, oh, it slipped out my hand.
Okay, all right.
But how do you ignore that? Plus the defense. He was nationally ridiculed about his defense to the point where people was putting rip reels together.
Yeah.
Of clips of him not playing defense, but you saying he's the best player on the floor.
Well, he has been.
How?
Because he scored 118 points to 83 for Jaylen and 80 for Jayson.
So again, you're going all the way to the right and going to the points only column and not looking at the entire box score, Skip.
17 and 18. That's
and
35.
What about the second halves of games?
35 more points.
The second half of games doesn't matter either?
Yeah. Well, all I know is if you're doing just a straight MVP, but I keep telling you, all the other
9 points a game in the second half.
All the other stats say that Dallas should be up 3-1.
No.
Yeah.
But what's the reality? What's the reality? That's
the reality is it's about to be 3-2.
The reality is,
ooh, if it's 3-2, man, if it's 3-2, hide Paul Pierce.
No.
Okay. Final question for today's show. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.